When you're building a home gym, doing it for as cheaply as possible is typically the goal, and so I suggest doing do-it-yourself equipment. Today we're going to be building a DIY cable pulley system for lat pull downs, low rows, that sort of thing for 25 bucks. Let's get into it. Hey guys, this is Coop from GarageGymReviews.com, and today we're building a DIY cable pulley system. I've seen quite a few of these, I've used quite a few of them, and so I'm going to give some tips and tricks on things that I think to make the best cable pulley system and to make it for as cheaply as possible. Yes, in the intro I said 25 bucks, so just to prove that's about what it's going to cost, it may be a little bit more, it may be a little bit less, but here is my receipt. We see here $22.01, and that included some super glue that I'm using for a different project. So if you want to see that project, make sure you subscribe, because that one's going to come out probably next. Okay, this is the lay of the land. I went to Home Depot. Actually, I'll show you some of that footage right now. Here in Home Depot, gonna see what they've got. We've got coated cables here. You can go as heavy as this. I would suggest going with the coated cable that's probably around 1/4 inch or actually 3/16. You can do uncoated, you could do 1/4 or 1/8 of an inch, but I think the 1/4 inch or actually 3/16 inch is going to be heavy enough. It's got an 840 pound weight working load limit. Pretty much everything you're going to need is actually going to be in this section at Home Depot. So we're looking at single pulleys, carabiners, wire rope clips. It's all over here, including the cutter and the cable you need. You're probably going to have to ask somebody to cut the cable for you, but I typically just cut it myself. I make the rules. Good to go.
Hey, what do you think you're doing?
Walking out of Home Depot with the goodies. It cost me a total of $22.01, and that included some super glue that I'm using for a different project. So add some carabiners in there. It's going to be a little bit more. Add some chain if you need that for your connections. But all this for under 25, 30 bucks. Let's go, baby. Okay, we're back from Home Depot. Woohoo! We've got all our stuff. Let's show you kind of what I got. First, this is probably the most important, if not the second most important piece of the entire project, and this is a pulley, okay? If you're gonna do a low row, you're gonna want 2 of these. If you're just gonna do a single pull down, you're gonna want 1. There's various types. I suggest this one because it's got a cotter pin where you can pull this out. So if you need to adjust any of the cord, you can do so easily. It also has a swivel at the top, and it's got a 420 pound working weight. You're not gonna be pulling more than that, and it's pretty cheap. Okay, so this is probably the one I'd suggest for most people. In addition to that, we've got our cable. Now this is I believe it's a 1/4 inch cable, maybe an 1/8 of an inch cable, and then it's wrapped in plastic. Please, please, please heed my advice on this. Buy the one wrapped in plastic. In fact, the one that this is kind of based on is Spud Ink. It's one you can buy for pretty expensive. It always used a cable that wasn't wrapped in a coating, and it ended up fraying all the time. It's just annoying, or difficult to use, so buy this one, okay? So our first, actually, let me show you what else we have. We also have some clamp sets with these bad boys. We're gonna clamp the cords together. You're gonna need multiple of those. You're also gonna need some carabiners to attach it. And then you can add some chain and things like that to attach to the rack. That's kind of up to you, but I'll show you how I'm gonna build it. So let's go over to the rack and measure this out. Now, I bought way too much. The reason I bought too much is because I don't like having to go back to the hardware store, and this stuff is so cheap. It's like, I think I bought 150 inches for like $4 or something. Much cheaper than I thought. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach to the this cross member up here, and I've got this little bad boy in there, okay? You are probably not going to have one of those. You're probably going to have to just attach it to the cross member, which you can do so with chain or rope or anything like that. I'm just going to attach my pulley to that because I've got it there. So just to measure, I'm going to put mine through there. I'm going to attach mine to a weight post or like a plate pin. See if FedEx. Okay, I'm gonna attach those to a weight post or plate pin, and that's gonna be about 20 inches off the ground. So I'm trying to figure out how do I get a full stretch on a lat pull down so that, you know, I'm basically able to go through the full range of movement. So I'm gonna put it about there, and then I think when I'm sitting down, I'm gonna be about here, so I want some extra length to wrap it, put that a little bit farther to wrap it. So I'm gonna basically measure it off here. So this is probably where I'm gonna cut it or wrap it around. Okay, to make this process rather simple, I'm gonna do one edge, make sure it's good, and then do the other edge or other corner. So you have your cord, you wrap it around, and this is where you attach these clamps. So you're gonna put this here in the eyelet. You don't have to use these. I definitely suggest using them. They're gonna prevent it from wearing out. So you wrap that around there, then you're gonna take your clamps, like right here, and you're gonna wrap it around. I do have a pro tip for you. Some words of wisdom from Coop's dad, passed to me, that's now passed to my sons, and passed to you guys, okay? And this goes like this. You never wanna saddle a dead horse, okay? So what that means is you never wanna place this, which is considered the saddle, on the length of cord that's considered dead. It's not working load, it's not being used. So you wanna put it on the other side. So I'm gonna put this on here, wrap this on here, and then tighten it down. And with some movie magic, we can be finished in 3, 2, 1. Boom! There we have it. There's your first one. I would suggest doing 2 to 3 of these just to make it tight. It also depends on how much weight you're doing, but I'd say do 2 to 3. That way it doesn't come undone. Okay, this is gonna live about there with the plate post. Wrap that around. So then I want this to be probably about there. Maybe a little bit more right there. So like I said, this is going to, I'm gonna have a lot of extra cord. You can cut this off easily, but I wanted to get it an idea. I'll bite it so I know where I'm going. All right, now let's repeat the process with the clamps, remembering not to saddle a dead horse. And I'll have that completed in 3, 2, 1, boom! We're done with this end. So now we have 2 ends right here that are completed. They're not fully completed. They're completed for me because I'm just gonna give this to a buddy. But I would suggest adding a couple more. You know, while we're here, let's go ahead and add a couple more just so you can see what it'll look like. Okay, I went ahead and added the others. For even extra protection, you can add more. I think I'm out. No, I've got a couple more. So you could, these packs come with multiple. I'd probably add up to 3 depending on how heavy you're going, but this should be fine. So your clamps are on, you've measured the length. I mean, this is really how easy this DIY is and why I don't suggest buying one of these. I suggest just building it. And really, like, the one you're buying isn't gonna be that much better anyways. This would actually be better because it's got a coated cable. So now we're gonna run over to the rack. I'm gonna take my pulley system here. We've got our little pulley. I'm gonna take it out. This little guy is gonna be very helpful for us because it's got this little pin. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull this little cotter pin out here. See if I can get that off. Right there, okay. Pull that out, then pull all that all the way out. Then I'm gonna put it back in, okay? If you have one that doesn't have this, because they do make them that doesn't have one that's removable, you wanna make sure that you put this on, obviously, before you clamp the clamps down. You screw the clamps down because it's just not gonna work. Okay, then I put that on there. Okay, so as you can see, we are good to go. And I'm telling you, although this is made of just general hardware equipment from Home Depot, it's very smooth. It is, it feels great. Mainly because this cable is coated, okay? So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach it to my little hook up there. Like I said, you can do this multiple ways. You could add a chain and wrap it around the cross member. You could add a chain and wrap it around that. You could add some sort of cord. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some cord that I have, some webbing, and just thread it through here and put it up there. So I'm gonna go grab that. So I have my carabiner here, then I'm gonna attach this carabiner up there. So you could do webbing or something else. This is very easy, it's quick release. If you want something that's stronger than this carabiner, get a locking one. Just make sure that it's gonna fit through this hole because this hole isn't super big. Attach it up there. I'm locked in. I'm then gonna take some carabiners here, attach them on either side so I can quickly attach things. Again, you can buy these carabiners in packs and you can buy really cheap ones. You can also buy them locking. They last forever and you can use them for a lot of different things, okay? If you're looking for like a really nice carabiner, go with like a climbing carabiner from Omega. But if you just want something that's cheap, that works, this is it. Okay, so we now got our length, our general length. This is gonna be maybe a little bit like short for me, or a little bit long, excuse me, but you can easily size this up by undoing these and pulling it through really quickly. So then I'm gonna take my weight plate post, which is right over here. Now, if you don't have a weight plate post, you can use chain. It's really cheap, but I'd suggest something like this because you can use it for different things. You're then gonna load it just like you would anything else. I'll put a 35-pounder along with some pizza pies. Because of the length of this, I'm gonna get an Omega carabiner. I'm then gonna attach it here. We're locked in. Okay, now you got to think of handles for this. If you just want to go a really cheap route, you could get some tape or some rope and then tie knots at the end for like a knot. You could get a very cheap, you can use bands. You get a very cheap lap pull down handle. That's probably what I'd suggest and what I'm going to use. This is just a cheap one that came with a different piece of equipment. So then you can attach it on there. And you now have a lap pull down tricep extension overhead pulley system for around 25 bucks. I'll show you how it works. Okay, so you've got your plate post there. Again, I would suggest cutting this so it's shorter, but I'm gonna probably shorten this up and lengthen it a little bit better. This is great because everybody has different size racks. Mine's 101.4 inches or something like that, but yours will probably be 90 inches or somewhere around that. So you can adjust this so it's shorter. So then, if you're in here, you can then use this just like any other pulley system. Oh, that sounds awful. So I noticed this was squeaking a lot from the beginning. To prevent that, what I suggest is taking some 3-in-1 oil. You can use WD-42. You're just putting a few drops in there. I mean, this is a very basic and cheap pulley. And so it kind of, you know, is what's expected. So you can get something that's more expensive, like a climbing pulley, but this should help a little bit. So, as you can hear, much quieter. I will give you a couple pro tips here. One, if you want to simulate something that's closer to a lap pull down where you're not as much of a horizontal row, it's more of a vertical row, then you can add another pulley to the back of your system so then it comes across and down. More expensive, not a lot more expensive because you just need extra cord and another one of these cables, pulleys. That's one way you could do it. Also, another thing you could do is add a bottom cross member or some sort of bar here or something and attach another pulley down here so you can do low rows. That's one way you could do it as well. You can also shorten this up or add multiple cords because you can take this out and you can use it for tricep extensions like this. Okay, and then lastly, this is something that I always complained about and I was like, how do I fix this? How do I fix this? And I think I found a fix. When you're doing this, the cable wants to start, the weight wants to start like flying back and forth, especially depending on how much weight and how hard you're pulling. So this is how you prevent that. You get some chain, okay? So if you've got some chain, great. If you don't, get some. You can buy chain at the hardware store easily. You could also use a band for this. All you do is you attach that chain to the carabiner. What that's gonna do is that's gonna keep a lot of that weight on the ground at all times, so it's going to prevent it from swaying back and forth. I'll show you how it looks. See how it prevents it from going back and forth? Beautiful. One other way that you could do it, just if you want to add band tension or just want to prevent it swaying as well, is you can take a band, wrap it around your bottom cross member, like so. Take it and then wrap it around a band peg or a hitch pin. I'll use this hitch pin right here. So you put it in here, wrap it around that hitch pin. This is now sitting on top of that. So that's going to add some band tension for you when you pull, and also keep it on plane and keep it from swaying so much. Okay, that's a $25 lat pull down. Okay, it's not as good as a lat pull down, but for those that are, when I first started my garage gym, I built like everything. I didn't have any sort of pulley system. This is what I used. I used this exclusively, and I used it a lot. Okay, it just works. It lasts a long time. Super cheap to make. I mean, when you're starting a home gym, you want to make it cheap. This is a good way to get in the door, get a lot of use, do some things that you can make movements, and it works. Okay. What other DIY ideas would you guys like to see? What are some other things you'd like to see? Let me know in the comments below. Are you going to make this? Let me know. Thanks for watching. This is Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. See you next time. Peace.